Excellency, the President of Senegal, Mr. Bassirou Diomaye Diakhar Faye, and listen to the national anthem of Senegal.
Merci à tous. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, merci beaucoup d'être venus si nombreux ce matin. Et bienvenue à la réunion préparatoire de haut niveau de la Conférence des Nations Unies sur l'eau 2026.
Excellencies, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here this morning and welcome to the high-level preparatory meeting of the 2026 UN Water Conference.
Cette réunion est un espace de dialogue et de réflexion pour justement préparer la conférence des Nations Unies sur l'eau prévue en 2026.
It is a space to share experiences, discuss challenges, and explore solutions for sustainable water, sanitation, and hygiene services worldwide.
Et avant de démarrer nos travaux, permettez-nous d'abord de nous présenter. Nous serons vos maîtres de cérémonie ce matin. Je suis Adama Anoshkaba, journaliste, et nous serons ensemble pour la version française.
And I am Sophia Ba, journalist, and I will guide you through the English sessions.
Mesdames et messieurs, pour ouvrir cette session, nous vous proposons justement de visionner un film spécial qui illustre les enjeux mondiaux de l'eau et les solutions possibles pour un accès durable à cette eau.
Now, please immerse yourself in this opening film and reflect on its messages as we prepare for rich and constructive discussions throughout this meeting.
Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, place au film.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, let's watch the film.
L'eau, c'est la vie. L'assainissement, c'est la dignité. Partout dans le monde, l'accès à l'eau potable et à l'assainissement conditionne la santé, l'égalité et l'avenir des sociétés. À Dakar, pendant 2 jours, la communauté mondiale de l'eau se réunit pour une rencontre de haut niveau. Un moment clé pour mesurer les progrès accomplis, identifier les défis persistants et tracer les voies d'accélération de l'objectif de développement durable numéro 6, garantir l'accès de tous à une eau potable et à des services d'assainissement gérés de manière durable. Depuis 2015, des avancées significatives ont été réalisées. Près d'1 milliard de personnes ont désormais accès à l'eau potable. Plus d'1 milliard ont bénéficié de services d'assainissement améliorés. Mais ces progrès restent insuffisants. Aujourd'hui encore, 1/4 de l'humanité vit sans eau potable, près de la moitié est sans installation sanitaire adéquate. Derrière ces chiffres, il y a des vies. Chaque année, l'accès universel à l'eau et à l'assainissement pourrait sauver plus de 800 000 personnes. Garantir ces droits fondamentaux, c'est protéger en priorité les plus vulnérables, les femmes et les filles, les personnes handicapées, les habitants des quartiers précaires, les personnes déplacées et sans abri. Réaliser le droit à l'eau et à l'assainissement exige un changement profond. Mettre des personnes au cœur des politiques publiques, réduire les inégalités, transformer les engagements en obligations concrètes et mesurables. Lorsque ces droits sont respectés, ils deviennent un levier puissant pour des communautés en meilleure santé, des économies plus résilientes et des sociétés plus justes. L'eau n'est pas seulement une ressource naturelle, elle est un moteur de prospérité. Gérée de manière durable, elle stimule la croissance, crée des emplois, soutient l'innovation et renforce la résilience des territoires en ville comme en milieu rural. Il est temps de dépasser les approches fragmentées et de bâtir une économie de l'eau intégrée, inclusive et résiliente. L'eau relie tous les objectifs de développement durable. Avancer sur l'ODD 6, c'est accélérer les progrès sur l'ensemble de l'agenda 2030. Le monde doit redoubler d'efforts. La conférence des Nations Unies sur l'eau de 2026, co-organisée par le Sénégal et les Émirats arabes unis, portera cette ambition collective. Elle se tiendra en décembre 2026 aux Émirats arabes unis, dans un esprit de solidarité et d'action. À ce titre, Dakar est une étape déterminante. Nous avons ici une occasion unique et opportune de susciter un nouvel engagement politique de haut niveau, de jeter les bases d'action et de partenariats efficaces et d'initier des discussions sur les 6 thèmes de dialogue interactif que sont l'eau pour les populations, l'eau pour la prospérité, l'eau pour la planète, l'eau pour la coopération, l'eau dans les processus multilatéraux, les investissements pour l'eau. Premier événement phare de l'année africaine de l'eau, décrété par l'Union africaine et événement préparatoire clé de la conférence de 2026, cette réunion de haut niveau offre l'opportunité d'examiner les progrès, d'engager les parties prenantes et de placer l'humanité sur une meilleure trajectoire vers l'ODD 6. De Dakar aux Émirats arabes unis, créons ensemble une ambition commune avec des actions concrètes pour la pleine réussite de la conférence des Nations unies sur l'eau 2026. C'est seulement ainsi que nous pourrons redonner le sourire et de l'espoir aux enfants des quartiers défavorisés, aux jeunes et aux femmes du Caire à Maputo, de Bogota à Kuala Lumpur, de La Haye à Dushanbe, de Dakar à Abu Dhabi.
Merci beaucoup aux équipes qui ont réalisé ce film sur les enjeux liés justement à l'accès à l'eau. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, il est essentiel de replacer notre rencontre de ce matin dans le cadre global de l'agenda 2030 et des responsabilités collectives qui nous incombent à tous à moins de 4 années de son échéance.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, to start this high-level opening statement, it is important to put our meeting in the context of the 2030 agenda and the shared responsibilities we have with less than 4 years to achieve them.
Et j'ai l'honneur et le privilège d'inviter M. Lee Junhua, secrétaire général adjoint des Nations Unies, département des affaires économiques et sociales des Nations Unies, à nous présenter l'objectif et les attentes de la conférence des Nations Unies sur l'eau 2026, ainsi que le rôle stratégique de cette réunion préparatoire de haut niveau qui nous réunit ce matin.
I have the honor and privilege of inviting Mr. Lee Junhua, Undersecretary General of the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs, to present the goals and expectations of the 2026 United Nations Water Conference, as well as the strategic role of this high-level preparatory meeting. Excellency, the floor is yours.
His Excellency, President of the Republic of Senegal, Mr. Bassirou Diomaye Faye, distinguished ministers, Excellencies, distinguished participants, good morning. It is a great pleasure for me to welcome you here in Dakar for this high-level preparatory meeting for 2026 United Nations Water Conference. I extended my sincere appreciation to the governments of the Senegal and the United Arab Emirates for convening this timely and important meeting and for their leadership as a co-host of the conference. We are entering the decisive phase for water and sanitation. With less than 5 years remaining to achieve the 2030 agenda, the world remains far off the track on SDG 6. Progress has been insufficient and uneven, and in many contexts, setbacks are becoming more pronounced, driven by the climate change, biodiversity loss, conflict, water stress, and widening inequalities. Against this backdrop, the 2026 UN Water Conference represents a critical opportunity. It must be a turning point. It must be our opportunity to renew the political commitment, galvanize ambitions, accelerate implementation, and mobilize transformative action across sectors and stakeholders. The conference is not an end in itself. It is a platform to drive a tangible impact and sustained progress. This meeting in Dakar is therefore a pivotal moment in our collective journey. It brings us together to reflect honestly on both progress and gaps, aligned around the shared priorities, and shape a common ambition for the road ahead, from Senegal to the United Arab Emirates. The 6 interactive dialogue themes adopted by the General Assembly of the United Nations provide a strong and integrated framework. They correctly identify the interconnections between water, people, prosperity, planet, cooperation, multilateral action, and investment. Importantly, they call for solutions that are inclusive, forward-looking, and grounded in practical implementation. As a Secretariat of Conference, my department, UN Department of Economic and Social Affairs, stands ready to fully support member states throughout this preparatory process. We will continue to work closely with the co-hosts, UN Water, the Secretary General of the Special Envoy on Water, and the broader UN system to ensure a coherent, inclusive, and action-oriented conference. I encourage all the participants to engage actively in the discussions over the next 2 days, to challenge the assumptions, share practical experiences, and identify the new partnerships and initiatives that can accelerate the progress on SDG 6. Let us use this moment to strengthen trust and lay the foundations for a successful conference, one that delivers tangible outcomes for people, for planet, and for prosperity. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Lee Junwan. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, comme vous le savez, la gouvernance de l'eau ne peut être durable sans l'inclusion, bien sûr, des communautés, des peuples autochtones et surtout de la jeunesse. Leur savoir, leurs innovations et leur engagement sont indispensables pour bâtir justement des solutions adaptées aux réalités du terrain. J'ai maintenant l'honneur d'inviter Madame Alouki Kotierk à prendre la parole au nom de la société civile, des peuples autochtones et de la jeunesse.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, Mr. Lee Junwan. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, water governance cannot be sustainable without the inclusion of communities, indigenous people, and youth. Their knowledge, innovation, and commitment are essential to building solutions tailored to local realities. I have the honor of inviting Ms. Alouki Kotier to speak on behalf of the civil society, indigenous people, and youth. Madam, you now have the floor.
Excellencies, distinguished ministers, representatives of member states, indigenous peoples, colleagues, Davawusi, greetings. It is an honor to address you today on behalf of the United Nations Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues. The Permanent Forum is an advisory body of the Economic and Social Council, mandated to provide expert advice on indigenous peoples, issues related to development, human rights, the environment, and natural resources, including water. The forum is a unique global platform that brings together indigenous peoples from the 7 socio-cultural groups, member states, and UN entities to advance collective understanding and action. For indigenous peoples, water is not solely a resource, but the foundation of life, culture, governance, and intergenerational responsibility. We all have a water story. In my part of the world, our houses have trucked water and sanitation services. We all get very used to pilsångnek, conserving to use only what we need, especially when we know that a statutory holiday is coming upon us, or that we anticipate a blizzard and the roads will be closed. We also worry about our pipes freezing. Although the water from the pipes is potable, if you know Inuit, you will know that many households also have a separate pot or tank where they keep good drinking water that they have collected from the ice and snow. I have two brothers who live in Vancouver with their families. One time, my father went to visit them, and he packed with him a chunk of ice for his drinking pleasure. If you know the geography of Canada, you know this was not a simple task. My home community is on the eastern side of Canada, above the Arctic Circle. Vancouver is in the southern part of Canada on the western side. Excellencies, the global water crisis we are confronting today is not merely a technical or financial challenge. It is fundamentally a crisis of governance and human rights. Across all regions, Indigenous peoples are disproportionately affected by water scarcity, pollution, climate impacts, and exclusion from decision-making, despite being amongst the most affected stewards of freshwater ecosystems worldwide. Far too often, decisions on water allocation, infrastructure, extractive activities, and financing are taken without Indigenous peoples' free, prior, and informed consent, and without recognition of their rights, knowledge systems, and governance institutions. The experience of Indigenous peoples makes one reality clear. Sustainable water solutions are not possible without inclusive and rights-based governance. The preparations for the 2026 United Nations Water Conference represent a critical opportunity to shift that course. The Permanent Forum, therefore, stresses that the meaningful participation of Indigenous peoples must be treated as a core condition for success, not as an add-on. Indigenous peoples must be engaged as rights holders and partners, not as stakeholders invited only to comment on decisions already taken. Good water governance requires recognition and protection of Indigenous peoples' water rights in line with international law and the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. Institutionalized mechanisms for co-governance at basin, watershed, and territorial levels. Respect for Indigenous knowledge systems alongside scientific approaches, and accountability and remedies for past and ongoing harms to Indigenous peoples' waters. These elements are not obstacles to development. They are enablers of sustainability, stability, and peace. Excellencies, as we move forward on the road from Dakar to the United Arab Emirates, the Permanent Forum stands ready to contribute actively to this process. I would therefore like to invite member states, United Nations entities, and all partners present today to engage with us at the next session of the UN Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues, 20 April to the 1st of May 2026. The forum will provide a dedicated space to brief on the preparations for the 2026 UN Water Conference and to discuss in concrete terms how Indigenous peoples can contribute to the process in their role as rights holders, including through governance, monitoring, restoration, and climate resilience. This dialogue will be essential to ensure that commitments made here in Dakar translate into inclusive outcomes and tangible results on the ground. In closing, the Permanent Forum firmly believes that protecting Indigenous peoples' rights to water is not only a matter of justice, it is a strategic imperative for achieving SDG 6, addressing the climate crisis, and ensuring that the 2026 UN Water Conference delivers lasting impact for present and future generations. Excellency, to really conclude, I must congratulate you and Senegal for recently winning the Africa Cup of Nations. Congratulations.
Merci beaucoup, Madame Alouki Cotillard, qui s'exprimait justement au nom de la société civile, des peuples autochtones et de la jeunesse. Merci. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, faut-il le rappeler ce matin, l'un des défis majeurs de l'ODD 6 reste le financement. Réduire le déficit d'investissement dans l'eau et l'assainissement est une condition essentielle pour renforcer la résilience des territoires, protéger la nature et garantir la dignité humaine. J'ai maintenant l'honneur d'inviter M. Saroji Kumarja pour une intervention consacrée au rôle de la finance dans l'accélération de l'accès universel à l'eau et à l'assainissement.
A big thank you for her profound and kind words to Ms. Alouki Co-Chair, who just spoke on behalf of the civil society, indigenous people, and youth. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, one of the major challenges of the SDG 6 remains financing. Closing the investment gap in water and sanitation is an essential condition for strengthening territorial resilience, protecting nature, and guaranteeing human dignity. I have the honor of inviting Mr. Saroj Kumar Jha for a presentation dedicated to the role of finance in accelerating universal access to water and sanitation. Sir, you now have the floor.
Thank you very much. First of all, I want to begin by a very short personal story because we have His Excellency the President of Senegal here. I was born in a family, Your Excellency, where my mother used to wake up at 3 a.m. to go and bring water from a long distance so that when I wake up, along with other siblings in the family, we'll have water to drink and we will be able to go to school. The reason I say this is that we still have billions of people in the world today, many children, many girls, many women, who still do not have access to clean water. So therefore, I really commend Senegal and UAE for giving this agenda the political visibility that it needs. And I really wish you all the best in everything the two governments and all your institutions are doing. So with that, I'll turn to my official statement because you asked me to speak on behalf of all the multilateral development banks. There are 10 multilateral development banks, and I'm reading a statement on their behalf. Your Excellency, Bassirou Diomaye Faye, the President of this Republic of Senegal, Honorable Ministers, Excellencies, distinguished representatives of various international organizations, ladies and gentlemen. It's my privilege and an honor to join you in Dakar and speak on behalf of the multilateral development banks as a system. At the outset, please allow me to begin by commending the President of the Republic of Senegal, the government of the United Arab Emirates, the ministers from these countries and senior officials for putting water at the center of development. Both Senegal and UAE are spearheading a global campaign to elevate water on top of political and economic agendas. It is water's time to rise, and we, the MDB, stand firmly behind Senegal and UAE to move this agenda upward and forward. Water is the foundation of life and prosperity. Water is an enabler, creator, and protector of jobs. But water security is under growing threat. More than 60% of the global GDP, yes, 60% of global GDP is in areas of very high water risks. More than 1.7 billion jobs, particularly in developing countries, are in very high risk of water stress sectors. Therefore, water insecurity is a threat and risk multiplier. But if we manage water well, our data shows the water can be a growth and opportunity multiplier. So the narrative on water has to change. Water has to be the driver of growth and jobs, particularly in the countries where we have young people entering the labor market. So please, the countries which are present in the room, please look at water from the perspective of growth and opportunity multiplier. For this reason, water is a priority for all the multilateral development banks. In the last 5 years alone, we, the MDBs, have committed more than $70 billion in lending, new financing to the developing countries in the water sector. This is, of course, complemented by our technical assistance, which has benefited more than 400 million people in the last 5 years. I want to recognize here the multilateral development banks. Not all of them are present in the room, but I just want to mention them in the alphabetical order. African Development Bank Group, Asian Development Bank, Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, Council of Europe Development Bank, European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, European Investment Bank, Inter-American Development Bank, Islamic Development Bank, the New Development Bank, and the World Bank Group. We, the MDBs, have committed to work together to significantly increase and support to the water sector during 2026 and 2030. MDBs aspire to accelerate universal access to safe drinking water and sanitation, scale up irrigation to increase food security and improve livelihoods, enhance flood management, and advance sustainable management of water resources. MDBs collectively aim to provide hundreds of millions more people with water security through ambitious programs that take advantage of both deeper collaboration among us and also with our partners. MDBs are now exploring new and innovative financing that crowds in private and philanthropic resources. We are engaged with market-based mechanisms and working together to preserve scarce public financing for where it is needed the most, prioritizing and leveraging private sector participation and scaling up private sector financing and to facilitate guarantees and risk-sharing mechanisms. We will endeavor to ensure that no one is left behind, prioritizing the most vulnerable populations, including indigenous and semi-indigenous people. The speaker just before me talked about it. MDBs believe that the water sector needs both technically and financially efficient service providers that can deliver quality services, and second, and sound governance arrangements, including policy, institutional, and regulatory regimes that are implemented with integrity. Let me, before I conclude, a few words on Senegal and then World Bank Group, because we are in Dakar. In our assessment of the World Bank Group, Senegal has long been recognized as a top performer in West Africa in water service delivery. And this progress has been made possible through the country's shared vision that links water security to human development, climate resilience, social inclusion, and economic competitiveness. Senegal is demonstrating that strong institutions, sustainable reforms, and coordinated financing can create the foundation for a long-term water security. We are happy to note that the World Bank Group, along with the other MDBs, have played a critical role in the transformation of water agenda in Senegal. And now let me turn to the World Bank Group, because there has been some very important developments in the last few weeks at the World Bank Group itself. So we at the World Bank Group are committing to mobilize capital on a scale to create impact at scale, which means a multiplier of 3 to 4 times what we have done in the past in the water sector. On December 23, 2025, the World Bank Group's Board of Directors approved a water strategy implementation plan which commits the World Bank Group to reach 400 million people, measured as per the SDG scorecard by 2030. This, by any means, this is a very bold and ambitious commitment of the World Bank Group, but we know that the 400 million people is only a 10% of the total number of people facing various forms of water insecurity, 4 billion people today in the world. Therefore, we would like to see how World Bank Group's new plan, we can mobilize more partners around this, create a platform for bigger and much more ambitious global action. And in that regard, we are now consulting all the multilateral development partners, bilaterals, investors, pension funds included, and private sector partners to establish what we call Mission Water, to reach 1 billion people or more by 2030. Because we believe water sector's time has come to really go from millions of people access and targets to 1 billion of people, because that's the size of the problem we are dealing with globally. Mission Water will be meant to support those governments that develop and implement reform-focused water compacts, which we believe is essential for mobilizing greater public and private financing, scaling innovation, and advancing cross-border water cooperation. Last word on the importance of UN Water Conference preparatory process for the MDBs. Colleagues, the road to the UN 2026 Water Conference is not just a moment for dialogue. It should be a moment to commit to work together with urgency, acceleration, and scale. Leadership has to come from the countries and their governments to prioritize water sector reforms to achieve impact at scale. In closing, on behalf of the World Bank Group and all the multilateral development banks, I reaffirm our collective commitment to working with Senegal, UAE, and all the countries present in this room to advance the water agenda forward. Thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Saroj Kumar Jha. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, cap maintenant sur le leadership politique et multilatéral. Nous sommes à moins de 4 ans de 2030 et le constat est clair. L'ODD 6 accuse un retard préoccupant, certes, mais rassurez-vous, ce retard n'est pas une fatalité. Il appelle une mobilisation politique renforcée, une meilleure coordination des acteurs et un passage résolu de l'engagement à la mise en œuvre. Pour partager alors une vision stratégique sur la manière d'accélérer l'action collective pour l'eau, j'ai l'honneur maintenant d'inviter Son Excellence Retno Marsudi, ancien ministre des Affaires étrangères de l'Indonésie, en même temps envoyé spécial du secrétaire général des Nations Unies pour l'eau.
Many thanks to Mr. Saroj Kumar Jha for his presentation, during which he emphasized on the key role of finance in accelerating universal access to water and sanitation. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we now turn our focus to political and multilateral leadership. With less than 4 years to go until 2030, the facts are clear. SDG 6 is facing a concerning delay, but this delay is not unavoidable. It calls for strengthened political mobilization, better coordination among stakeholders, and a resolute shift from commitment to implementation. To share a strategic vision on how to accelerate collective action for water, I have the honor of inviting Her Excellency Retno Marsudi, former Minister for Foreign Affairs of Indonesia and the United Nations Secretary General's Special Envoy on Water. Excellency, you now have the floor.
I do hope that you can see me. I'm here. So I have to stand on my two. Mr. President, once again, first of all, congratulations for Senegal on its African Cup victory. Colleagues, football reminds us that teamwork leads to success. and let us bring the spirit of good teamwork, strong teamwork in advancing the global water agenda. You agree, right? So, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the UN Secretary General, it's really an honor for me to be here today, and I commend Senegal and the UAE for their leadership in co-hosting the UN 2026 Water Conference and its high-level preparatory meeting. Colleagues, water is life, and this is a phrase we hear every often. Unfortunately, the reality is confronting us with different story. Billions of people still lack of access to safe drinking water. Even more still lack of access to safely managed sanitation. And each day, thousands of children die because of preventable water and sanitation-related diseases. Instead of sustaining life, the world water situation is still failing too many lives. That is a grim story that fills our reality. But we cannot give up to this reality. Giving up to this reality means giving up on our lives and our future. Excellencies, distinguished guests, to change that reality, the world needs major transformation in water and sanitation agenda. This is why 2026 Water Conference is so important, because it gives us an opportunity of transformation, an opportunity to plan and shape our entire journey of 2026. Transformation in water and sanitation will lead transformation in agriculture, energy, health, climate action, and other areas. Distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, now the question is, how can we make sure that this Dakar meeting fulfill its purpose? Answering this question, I would like to highlight three things. First, it is time to put water firmly at the top of global agenda. We can no longer tolerate water being an afterthought. The world fails on water because we prioritize it too late, too low, and too fragmented. If water were treated like energy, finance, or security agendas, we would already be on track with SDG 6 and other sustainable development goals. Because water underpins food, energy, health, and all other sustainable development agendas. Water is the operating system of the whole 2030 SDGs. It is a strategic enabler. Therefore, water must move upstream in decision-making and not remain as an afterthought in development agenda. With this Dakar moment from now on, we must ensure that water is in the room whenever critical decisions are made. Second, we must abandon the old paradigm that says water problem as given reality, and we must also focus on action. The water and sanitation challenges we face are not a failure of nature. They are preventable, and we have the choice to prevent them from happening. It requires us to focus, to take action, and make investment to prevent the reality of water problems. The success of this Dakar meeting will be judged by one thing only. It will be judged by whether we go back home taking action for water or not. Water doesn't disappear because we are unlucky. It disappears when we choose to delay action. Last, we must realize that this Dakar meeting is beyond just a preparatory meeting. The Dakar meeting is a point of no return. This meeting is the first operational milestone of 2026 UN Water Conference process. Therefore, beyond political signaling, we must not fail to use this conference, this momentum, to have substantive discussion, to align effort around a common vision and objective, to identify priority areas of action and opportunities with a clear pathway toward end of 2026 and beyond, and to seed initiatives, program, and partnership. This strategic moment cannot be wasted. This Dakar moment must be used as a launchpad for action with clear priority focus areas and actionable initiative and partnership capable of delivering results. It must also begin a forward-looking discussion on how we move from the 2030 agenda toward a credible and coherent post-2030 global water framework. So beyond than just another conference, the world needs collective commitment and action. So colleagues, let's this Dakar meeting be that moment where collective commitment meets willingness to act and meet real transformation for the world's water, sanitation, and for our future. I thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup, Excellence Retno Marsudi, ancienne ministre des Affaires étrangères de l'Indonésie. Elle est aussi l'envoyée spécial du secrétaire général des Nations Unies pour l'eau. Merci pour ces mots. Mesdames et messieurs, nous allons maintenant observer une petite pause, une pause musicale, et nous allons sans plus attendre inviter un grand artiste, et il va tout de suite nous rejoindre sur la scène. Sophia.
Effectivement, Adama. Her Excellency Retno Marsudi, we thank you so much for your profound word. She is the former Minister of Foreign Affairs of Indonesia and United Nations Secretary General's Special Envoy on Water. Just like my colleague Adama just said, ladies and gentlemen, Excellencies, it is now time to enjoy a performance from one of Senegal's icon, musical and cultural icon. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Mr. Ismail Lolo.
D'ici ou d'ailleurs, nous sommes des enfants d'Afrique. Même si le ciel tombait, luttons pour la paix. Kon jamu Afrika, mom lay ñaan. Mané jamu Afrika, moy suñu natangue. Yomi nekk bitim réew man mi loo maa ngi lay ñaan ak loo ko mën ta am ak loo ko mën fi mel bul fàtte Afrika Ici ou ailleurs, la paix crie du bonheur. Même si le ciel pleurait, luttons pour nos frères. Kon jàmmu Afrika moom lay ñaan. Ma ne jàmmu Afrika mooy suñu naataange. Africa, 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 Africa.
Merci beaucoup, merci. Bonjour, Monsieur le Président de la République. Bonjour, chers confrères, chers compatriotes. C'est un plaisir de chanter devant vous. Et comme nous parlons de l'eau, et je vous souhaite une bonne organisation. Je sais qu'Ismaël Lo rime un peu avec l'eau. C'est pas moi, hein. Ismaël Lo rime avec l'eau. Ismaël Lo peut être indispensable, ça dépend par moment. Mais l'eau, elle est... Je ne vous entends pas. Ismaël Lo peut être indispensable, mais l'eau est... Merci beaucoup. Merci. Hey. J'entends pas.
Alak na bu ngeen dee gisee kenn du leen féewale. Alak na bu ngeen dee gisee gën a waxtaan mënu ko du baax
la. J'entends pas.
Alak na bu ngeen dee gisee di ngeen gën a am doole. Alak na bu ngeen dee gisee gën a waxtaan mënu ko lu baax ndax ku mu mënti doon si yéen ñi yaa ngi bay si waar wi yaa xam góor nga yaa xam jigéen nga ngeen àndandoo bay waar wi ndax gëm naa ni mbooloo rek moo di doole lu baax la. Man lank naa man bañ naa ñu naan politiciens yi dañoo féewaloo su ma amoon li ma gënal man ngeen àndandoo bokk doole ndax gëm naa ni mbooloo rek moo di doole lu baax la.
J'entends toutes les mains. Tapez, 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 tapez.
Kumu manti doon si ñun ñi jàmmu Sénégal rek mooy sa yéene su ma amoon li ma gënal man nañu àndandoo bokk doole ndax man gëm naa ni mbooloo rek moo di lu baax la man gëm naa ni ma réew mbooloo moo gën suñu réew nañ joxante loxo man gëm naa ni ma réew mbooloo moo gën suñu réew nañ joxante loxo xalaat naa lu baax la xalaat naa lu gën la ñu ànd booloo ñun dana sat pa dégg xalaat naa lu baax la xalaat naa lu gën la ñu ànd booloo ñun dana sat pa dégg ndax gëm naa ni mbooloo rek moo di doole lu baax la man gëm naa ni ma réew mbooloo moo gën suñu réew kon nañ joxante loxo man gëm naa ni ma réew mbooloo moo gën suñu réew kon nañ joxante loxo man gëm naa ni mbooloo rek moo di doole lu baax la man gëm naa ni ma réew mbooloo moo gën suñu réew kon nañ joxante loxo xalaat naa bu ngeen manko di ngeen gën a am doole xalaat naa bu ngeen manko gën a waxtaan mën a juboo kon lu baax la
Merci beaucoup, merci.
Merci beaucoup au grand artiste Ismaël Lo pour cette magnifique prestation. Merci, sous vos applaudissements s'il vous plaît. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, la co-organisation de la Conférence des Nations Unies sur l'eau 2026 par le Sénégal et les Émirats arabes unis incarne une vision renouvelée du multilatéralisme fondée sur la coopération nord-sud, l'innovation et la mobilisation des finances au service de l'accès universel à l'eau et à l'assainissement. J'ai à présent l'honneur d'inviter Son Excellence Monsieur Abdullah Balala, ministre adjoint des Affaires étrangères, chargé de l'énergie et de la durabilité des Émirats arabes unis. Il va prendre la parole ce matin au nom des co-organisateurs de cette conférence.
Of course, we give many thanks to Senegalese musical and cultural icon, Mr. Ismaël Lo, and we hope you enjoyed the performance, ladies and gentlemen. Excellencies, the co-hosting of the 2026 United Nations Water Conference by Senegal and the United Arab Emirates embodies a renewed vision of multilateralism, one rooted in North-South cooperation, innovation, and the mobilization of finance to achieve universal access to water and sanitation. I have the honor of inviting His Excellency Mr. Abdullah Balala, Assistant Minister of Foreign Affairs for Energy and Sustainability of the United Arab Emirates, to speak on behalf of the conference co-organizers. Excellency, you now have the floor.
Your Excellency, Bassirou Diomaye Faye, President of the Republic of Senegal, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is a great pleasure to be with you today here in Dakar at the high-level preparatory meeting for the 2026 United Nations Water Conference, which the United Arab Emirates is proud to be co-hosting with the Republic of Senegal. This journey that began over 18 months ago, driven by our shared commitment to place water where it truly belongs, at the heart of the international agenda. For decades, water has been under-prioritized and underfunded. Yet, in recent years, particularly following the 2023 UN Water Conference, we have seen a long overdue shift. The United Arab Emirates is committed to contributing and helping drive this renewed recognition of water as a fundamental enabler of sustainable development, economic growth, peace and security, and ultimately, people's lives. This understanding is deeply rooted in our own experience. Despite being located in one of the most water-scarce regions in the world, the UAE has achieved universal access to clean water and sanitation. This did not happen by chance. It is the result of deliberate leadership choices, sustained investment, and the application of innovative water management solutions. Water has always been a national priority for our leadership at the highest level. But our commitment has never been confined to managing water within our own borders. From the very beginning of our nation, water was a humanitarian calling championed by our founding father, the late Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan. He understood that water is not only a resource, but a source of life, dignity, and hope. Despite his passing 22 years ago, Sheikh Zayed's vision continues to flow across borders and generations. The Zayed Wells Initiative stands as a living testament to that legacy, still quenching thirst and sustaining life for more than 60 million people around the world. His compassion did not end with his lifetime. It endures in every drop of water that reaches a community in need, reminding us all that true leadership is measured by the lives it continues to touch long after the leader is gone. And today, we continue to scale up his legacy. In early 2024, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, President of the United Arab Emirates, launched the Mohammed bin Zayed Water Initiative, focused on accelerating technological innovations to address global water scarcity. Its flagship initiative, the X Prize Water Scarcity, is the largest prize of its kind globally, supported by $150 million contribution. And just 3 weeks ago, the Abu Dhabi Fund for Development launched the Abu Dhabi Global Water Platform, a strategic initiative aiming to mobilize $2 billion from local and international financing institutions between 2026 and 2030, and committed a $1 billion to water-related projects, targeting approximately 10 million beneficiaries worldwide. And to further promote innovative solutions for water, over the past 17 years, the UAE Pioneering Global Award Zayed Sustainability Prize, through its dedicated water pillar, has helped save an estimated 160 billion liters of water. And I assure you, these efforts will only continue to grow. Against this backdrop, the 2026 Water Conference is a central pillar of our efforts to advance global water action. As the first ever UN conference dedicated to accelerating the implementation of Sustainable Development Goal number 6, ensuring the availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all, it represents a critical turning point in the global agenda. After a 46-year pause in UN water conferences, and following the renewed political momentum generated in 2023, the 2026 UN Water Conference must be about implementation. Quite simply, it is a make or break moment. Either we unite behind sustained, coordinated, and accelerated global water action, or we risk failing not only SDG 6, but many of our broader global priorities: food, energy security, climate resilience, public health, as well as economic growth. Excellencies, colleagues, and friends, we are not naive about the scale of the challenges before us, nor about the complex global and multilateral context in which we are operating. But we also recognize the unparalleled opportunity this conference presents to show how water can be an accelerator of progress across all sectors and a powerful example of effective multilateral cooperation. We have always emphasized that the 2026 UN Water Conference is not an event. It is a process. And it is a process we have been proud to work together with you since 2024. Allow me to reflect briefly but proudly on what we have achieved so far together. Over the past year, we chose to begin not with prescriptions, but with listening. We engaged in extensive consultations with hundreds of member states and stakeholders across the globe to hear diverse perspectives, to learn from lived realities, and to truly understand the global water landscape. From these voices, our shared vision began to take shape. Guided by what we heard and grounded firmly in our mandate, we put forward 6 themes rooted in the 2030 Agenda and its 5 pillars: people, prosperity, planet, peace, and partnerships. These themes do more than frame a conference. They reflect a clear call to action, one that recognizes emerging priorities and responds to the urgency of mobilizing investments and strengthening all means of implementation. In July 2025, something remarkable happened. By consensus, all 193 member states agreed on these 6 themes, 6 shared global water priorities. At a moment when multilateralism is being tested, the world chose unity. It chose cooperation. It chose water as a common ground. Just 10 days ago, we took another unprecedented step. We announced the 12 co-chairs who will lead the 6 interactive dialogues, selected nearly a year in advance to ensure depth, inclusivity, and meaningful preparations. And I want to say to our co-chairs, your leadership and voices matters, and we are deeply grateful to have you with us as partners in this journey. Throughout this process, the level of engagement from member states has been both strong and inspiring, through expressions of interest to co-chair, thoughtful written inputs, and active participation in preparatory meetings at the UN headquarters in March and July last year. While only 12 co-chairs could be selected, let me be clear. This conference will not be shaped by a few. It will be built by all. And that brings us to today, the high-level preparatory meeting, convened nearly a year ahead of the conference, with clear themes and committed leadership already in place, is not procedural. It is strategic, it is intentional, and it is a moment of opportunity that we must not allow to pass us by. As you can see, the process is in motion, and we are moving forward with full momentum to deliver a game-changing conference that will put the world back on track in addressing global water issues. Let us imagine, of course together, a world where 2.2 billion people no longer wake up without access to safe drinking water. Where 3.4 billion people live with dignity because sanitation is no longer a privilege, but a given. Where the silent tragedy of losing 1,000 children under the age of 5 every single day to unsafe water is finally brought to an end. A world where do not merely react to water scarcity affecting more than 2/3 of humanity, but where we understand it, manage it, and prevent it with foresight and resolve. Let us imagine a world where water sits at the heart of every decision, every sector, and every policy, elevated to the highest level of political priority. A world where investment flows at scale, innovation moves at speed, political will rises to the moment, and partnerships converge to deliver coordinated, transformative action on water. This is not an abstract. It is the future we must work toward, and the future we can only build together. This responsibility doesn't rest with the co-host alone. It rests with all of us, each government, each institution, each community, even each individual here today is accountable. The 2026 UN Water Conference is our collective moment, a rare opportunity to change the trajectory of water on the global agenda. And again, I repeat, we cannot afford to let it pass. And finally, to my dear brothers and sisters in Senegal, thank you for your warm hospitality. And for welcoming us to your beautiful country. This partnership has been exceptional, rooted in strong bilateral ties, mutual respect, and a shared belief in what multilateral cooperation can achieve. As we move forward as co-hosts of this conference, I am confident that this journey will only grow deeper and stronger. I very much look forward to welcoming you and all of you here with us today in Abu Dhabi later this year to make history, of course, together. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Son Excellence, Monsieur Abdullah Balala, ministre adjoint des Affaires étrangères chargé de l'énergie et de la durabilité des Émirats arabes unis. Nous rappelons que cette conférence des Nations unies sur l'eau sera co-présidée ou co-organisée par le Sénégal et les Émirats arabes unis, et ce sera en décembre à Abu Dhabi. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, nous avons maintenant l'honneur de présenter le rapport GLACE, un document de référence d'ONU Haut basé sur des données actualisées qui évaluent les politiques cadres institutionnels, financement et ressources humaines dédiées à l'eau, à l'assainissement et à l'hygiène dans le monde. Ce rapport, vous allez le voir, est le fruit de l'expertise et de la collaboration internationale et présenté aujourd'hui en guise de contribution d'ONU Haut aux travaux de cette conférence et au dialogue interactif auquel nous prenons tous part ce matin. Pour nous présenter ce rapport, nous avons maintenant l'honneur d'accueillir M. Álvaro Lario, président de l'ONU Haut et du Fonds international de développement agricole, qui va partager avec nous les principaux enseignements et recommandations du rapport GLACE.
Many thanks to His Excellency Mr. Abdullah Balala, Assistant Minister of Foreign Affairs for Energy and Sustainability of the United Arab Emirates, who spoke on behalf of the conference co-organizers. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we are now have the honor of presenting the GLAAS report, Global Analysis and Assessment of Sanitation and Drinking Water. As a flagship UN water document based on the latest data, it evaluates the policies, institutional frameworks, financing, and human resources dedicated to water, sanitation, and hygiene worldwide. This report, the result of international expertise and collaboration, is presented today as a UN Water contribution to the work of this conference and the interactive dialogues in which we are participating this morning. To present this report, we are honored to welcome Mr. Alvaro Lario, Chair of UN Water and President of the International Fund for Agriculture, who will share with us the key findings and recommendations of the GLAAS report. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving a warm welcome to Mr. Lario.
Sous vos applaudissements, s'il vous plaît.
Bonjour à tous. Good morning to all. President Bassirou Diomaye Faye, honorable ministers, excellencies, representatives of international organizations and civil society, dear friends. It's a pleasure to be here in Dakar. It's always a pleasure to come to Senegal. Let me also thank the government and the people of Senegal for your hospitality and your warmth in the welcome. And also thank the governments of UAE and of Senegal for your leadership and for convening us over these next 2 years. 2 days. 2 years going to be in another conference. As co-host of the 2026 UN Water Conference, we know that your leadership is essential to really kickstart the momentum for global water action. This high-level preparatory meeting sets the tone for the road ahead, and it brings us together to shape a common direction, one that accelerates progress on water and sanitation and to delivers great results for the people. In a world impacted by many crises, water remains central to building stability and to building resilience. Under the current UN80 reform initiative, water remains a political priority, and this is thanks to the leadership and to the ambition of many member states here also present. At the landmark UN 2023 Water Conference, co-hosted by the Kingdom of Netherlands and the Republic of Tajikistan, countries asked the UN system to do more and to commit to tackling many water-related challenges as a top priority. Responding to this call 1 year later in 2024, UN Water and all of its partners launched the first UN system-wide water strategy for water and sanitation, and its implementing plan, which was launched last year, which is already unifying and maximizing the impact of the UN on the ground. Action on water and sanitation remains a very important catalyst for progress on sustainable development, human rights, and peace. Excellencies, today's meeting starts a decisive 2-year arc spanning the UN Water Conferences in 2026 and in 2028. We need to approach the coming years as a continuous and coherent member states-driven vision-building process where we sharpen our collective direction and move faster towards delivering safe water and sanitation for all. Member States' leadership is essential. In this process, the momentum generated here in Dakar will fit into 2026 in Abu Dhabi, and the outcomes of 2026 conference will create the path and the direction for the 2028 conference. UN Water is fully committed to supporting countries in this journey and to ensuring that water remains at the heart of a shared vision of a more sustainable and equitable future. Before concluding, I would like to turn to the evidence that can help guide the decisions that we take in the months ahead. Today, in my capacity as chair of UN Water, the interagency mechanism that coordinates the efforts across the UN, its entities and international organizations, I am pleased to announce the launch of the UN Water Global Analysis and Assessment on Sanitation and Drinking Water Report 2025, also known as GLAD, which has been led by WHO and UNICEF on behalf of UN Water. Drawing on data from 105 countries and 21 development partners, GLAS provides a global evidence based on the state of national wash systems. It shows where we are doing already well, where more efforts are needed, and also highlights good practices that others can also replicate and, more importantly, scale up. The report's findings are clear. Progress on SDG 6 depends on strong, resilient national systems that can deliver sustainable and equitable water and sanitation services for all. Your Excellency, President Bassirou Diomaye Faye, it is an honor to hand this report to you, a symbol of our shared commitment to evidence-based action and to placing water and sanitation at the center of national and global priorities. Thank you for your attention.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Alvaro Lario, pour cette présentation éclairante du rapport GLAS. À présent, Monsieur Lario, le rapport sera bien sûr remis symboliquement au président de la République, Bassirou Diomaye Diakhar Faye, au nom des organisateurs, illustrant notre engagement collectif en faveur de l'amélioration des services d'eau, d'assainissement et d'hygiène dans le monde.
Ladies and gentlemen, to receive the class report, please give a round of President of the Republic of Senegal, Mr. Bassirou Diomaye Diakhar Faye, and please welcome His Excellencies with a warm
Monsieur le
welcome.
Président de la République, Monsieur Bassirou Diomaye Diakhar Faye, nous vous invitons justement à prononcer votre discours.
Merci beaucoup. Mesdames, Messieurs les ministres, Mesdames, Messieurs les ambassadeurs, distingués représentants des organisations internationales, chers partenaires techniques et financiers, chers invités, Mesdames, Messieurs, je voudrais d'abord vous souhaiter la bienvenue et un excellent séjour au Sénégal, le nouveau pays champion d'Afrique. Je voudrais par contre vous rassurer que les sourires et l'hospitalité avec laquelle vous êtes accueillis n'est pas lié à ce nouveau titre que nous savourons bien, mais c'est dans notre nature. Vous êtes au pays de la Teranga. Dans la succession des jours et jalons importants pouvant impacter positivement la vie des hommes, ce 26 janvier est une date marquante, avec la tenue ici à Dakar de la réunion de haut niveau préparatoire à la conférence des Nations Unies sur l'eau en décembre 2026. Votre présence à Dakar témoigne de l'importance politique que la communauté internationale accorde à l'eau et à l'assainissement. Non seulement comme enjeu sectoriel, mais également comme fondement essentiel de la dignité humaine, de la santé des populations et de la stabilité des sociétés, mais aussi de la prospérité partagée des nations. L'eau est en effet une ressource vitale pour l'homme et la nature. L'eau est indispensable au maintien de l'équilibre de la planète et à l'atteinte des objectifs de développement durable. Et pour autant, nous le constatons tous, la crise de l'eau est une réalité mondiale. Selon les Nations Unies, 2,2 milliards de personnes n'ont toujours pas accès à une eau potable sûre. Et près de 3,5 milliards restent privés de services d'assainissement adéquats. Pendant que 4 milliards de personnes subissent une pénurie d'eau sévère au moins un mois par an. L'Afrique est particulièrement affectée par cette crise, avec 40% de la population qui n'a pas accès à l'eau potable et plus de 70% de manque de services d'assainissement de base. C'est une situation moralement inacceptable. Et tant qu'elle persistera, notre responsabilité collective restera engagée. Car les crises de l'eau alimentent les crises alimentaires, fragilise les économies, déplace les populations et exacerbe les tensions. Hélas, la crise s'accroît avec l'accélération du dérèglement climatique qui impacte gravement les liens intrinsèques entre l'eau et le climat. Étant établi que l'eau agit sur le climat, tout comme le climat détermine la disponibilité et la qualité des ressources en eau. En effet, le changement climatique perturbe considérablement le cycle de l'eau, entraînant sécheresse, inondations selon les précipitations faibles ou surabondantes, la fonte des glaces du fait du réchauffement climatique, ainsi que du changement des niveaux marins. L'eau, quant à elle, est un facteur climatique majeur, et ces perturbations affectent notamment la disponibilité d'eau douce, la santé, l'agriculture, l'énergie, l'éducation et la biodiversité. Face à cette précarisation de la vie, le coût de l'inaction est immense. Il se mesure en vie humaine perdue, en opportunités de développement compromises, en fractures sociales aggravées et parfois en paix menacée. C'est pourquoi investir dans l'eau n'est pas seulement financer les infrastructures, mais également investir dans la résilience climatique, dans la prévention des tensions et des conflits, dans la stabilité et la prospérité mondiale. Dès lors, il est essentiel de renforcer les efforts de plaidoyer pour que la problématique de l'eau reste au cœur de l'action climatique et de l'agenda international. Mesdames et messieurs, l'objectif de développement durable numéro 6 consacré à l'eau et à l'assainissement constitue un levier stratégique pour l'atteinte de l'ensemble des objectifs de développement durable. Le faire progresser, c'est contribuer subséquemment à la mise en œuvre de l'agenda 2030. Cependant, nous notons qu'à 5 ans de l'échéance, force est de constater que nous sommes loin des objectifs fixés, même si des progrès sont observés sur plusieurs indicateurs, prouvant que l'accélération des performances reste possible si nous agissons sur les bons leviers. L'Afrique est au cœur de ces enjeux, malgré sa vulnérabilité aux chocs hydriques et climatiques. Continent riche de ses ressources et de sa jeunesse, elle est aussi une force de solution, d'opportunité, d'innovation et de savoirs endogènes. Je me réjouis à cet égard que l'Union africaine ait proclamé l'année 2026 année de l'eau en Afrique, en cohérence avec la prochaine adoption de la nouvelle vision africaine de l'eau, pilotée par le Conseil des ministres africains de l'eau, actuellement présidé par le Sénégal, champion d'Afrique. Cette ambition traduit une volonté de faire de l'eau un levier stratégique de transformation sociale, économique, environnementale au service de l'agenda 2063 de l'Union africaine et l'objectif de sécurité de l'eau pour le continent. Conscient de tous ces enjeux, y compris géostratégiques, le Sénégal s'est très tôt engagé en faveur de l'hydrodiplomatie. La co-organisation de la Conférence des Nations Unies aux côtés des Émirats arabes unis s'inscrit dans cette dynamique de faire de l'eau une source de paix et de développement et non pas une source de conflit. Voilà pourquoi je tiens à saluer ici la qualité du partenariat avec la coprésidence émirati, fondée sur la confiance, une vision commune, mettant la problématique de l'eau au cœur de l'agenda international pour plus d'accès et de gestion apaisée des ressources hydriques. Ce partenariat est un symbole de la force du multilatéralisme à travers le dialogue et la coopération. Ensemble, nous voulons faire de cette conférence un moment d'engagement et d'action concrète. À l'heure où les Nations Unies s'engagent dans une réflexion profonde sur le renforcement du multilatéralisme, la question de l'eau constitue un test concret de notre capacité à produire des résultats tangibles pour les peuples. Faire progresser l'agenda de l'eau, c'est aussi restaurer la confiance dans l'action multilatérale et démontrer que la coopération internationale demeure un levier crédible de solutions. La conférence de 2026 ne devra pas être une rencontre de plus, mais un moment de bascule par lequel la communauté internationale agira pour bâtir des réponses inclusives et durables face aux défis de l'eau, du climat, en mobilisant États, collectivités territoriales, secteur privé, société civile, scientifiques, communautés locales, jeunes et femmes dans un bel élan de solidarité et de complémentarité. Elle devra aussi apporter des solutions innovantes, adaptées aux réalités africaines. Elle devra aussi apporter des engagements concrets, mesurables et suivis dans le temps. Elle devra apporter une meilleure coordination des initiatives pour éviter la dispersion. Elle devra apporter une mobilisation accrue des financements pour réaliser les investissements adéquats. Les investissements, en particulier dans les infrastructures, sont capitaux pour la disponibilité de l'eau, sa maîtrise et son utilisation. Les besoins considérables, mais les retours sur investissement le sont tout autant, notamment en emploi décent, en croissance inclusive, en réduction des risques climatiques, en stabilité sociale et politique. Toutefois, l'effort d'investissement requis ne pourra être soutenable sans une réflexion renouvelée sur les mécanismes de financement, notamment l'accès à des financements concessionnels, l'innovation financière et la prise en compte du poids de la dette. Investir dans l'eau, c'est investir dans un bien public mondial. Et cela appelle des réponses collectives équitables et adaptées aux capacités de chacun. Mais pour autant, aucune transformation durable ne sera possible sans les peuples eux-mêmes. Avec les savoirs endogènes, les communautés locales et les peuples autochtones sont les premiers gardiens de l'eau. Leur connaissance fine des territoires, des cycles naturels et des équilibres écologiques est une richesse irremplaçable. La science et les données, ingénieusement valorisées aujourd'hui, doivent dialoguer avec les savoirs locaux et traditionnels. Les jeunes doivent être au cœur des solutions, porteurs d'innovation, d'énergie et d'espérance. Les femmes qui sont en première ligne de la gestion quotidienne de l'eau doivent tout aussi être pleinement reconnues comme actrices du changement. C'est donc dans une dynamique inclusive que nous pourrons relever les défis et atteindre les objectifs de la conférence des Nations Unies sur l'eau. C'est pourquoi je me réjouis de la grande diversité des acteurs présents ici à Dakar pour la co-construction d'une feuille de route pertinente et efficace. Pendant 2 jours, vous aurez l'occasion de consolider les 6 dialogues interactifs qui structureront la conférence de 2026 autour des thématiques que sont l'eau pour les populations, l'eau pour la prospérité, l'eau pour la planète, l'eau pour la coopération et l'eau dans les processus multilatéraux, mais aussi les investissements dans l'eau. Je forme le vœu que la rencontre de Dakar balise la voie du succès de la conférence d'Abu Dhabi par l'émergence d'une vision partagée, des engagements concrets et une feuille de route crédible. Sur ce, je déclare ouverts les travaux de la réunion de haut niveau préparatoire à la conférence des Nations Unies sur l'eau prévue du 2 au 4 décembre 2026 à Abu Dhabi. Je vous remercie de votre aimable attention et vous souhaite plein succès à vos travaux.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président de la République du Sénégal, Son Excellence, Monsieur Bassirou Diomaye Diakhar Faye. Ces interventions illustrent une conviction partagée que l'eau doit être placée au cœur des priorités politiques mondiales comme un bien vital pour l'homme, la nature et la stabilité de nos sociétés. Cette réunion préparatoire de haut niveau marque ainsi le début d'un processus exigeant mais porteur d'espoir vers une conférence des Nations Unies sur l'eau 2026 ambitieuse, inclusive et orientée vers des résultats concrets. Mesdames et messieurs, nous vous invitons à poursuivre les travaux dans cet esprit de responsabilité collective, de coopération et d'action.
Many thanks to His Excellency, President of the Republic of Senegal, Mr. Bassirou Diomaye Diakhar Faye. Ladies and gentlemen, Excellencies, as we transition to the next working session, these interventions illustrate our shared conviction that water must be placed at the heart of global political priorities as a resource vital to humanity, nature, and the stability of our societies. This high-level preparatory meeting marks the beginning of a demanding yet hopeful process toward the 2026 United Nations Water Conference that is ambitious, inclusive, and oriented towards concrete results. We invite you to continue our work in the spirit of collective responsibility, cooperation, and action. My name is Sophia Ba, and I was honored to co-host this event this morning.
Merci pour l'attention. C'était Adama Anouchkaba. Un plaisir de vous avoir présenté cette réunion ce matin. Merci.